Hey guys, this week I'm going to review Roli's Tomb Raider Revelations 4 demo. I'm going to say what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, and what I really didn't like about it. But first I'm going to take you through the basic story of the level and then have a look at some of the settings and gameplay ideas. So you start the level looking for 2 golden stars, which allow you access to a key, which allows you access to more keys, so that you can have access to a Coliseum. And in the Coliseum there's another key, which allows you access to a final place where you get another key, which opens the main door you see at the beginning of the level, and that's the level ends. And you start your adventure in this lovely cave. So now I'm going to talk you through where the level takes place, starting with the caves bit. So you start and end your adventure in this huge cave area, which the author has done a great job of making look really nice and realistic. Once you've worked your way through this area, you then move on to a series of smaller, more atmospheric, darker caves, which are lit up by the occasional group of fireflies, which I think is just a really nice touch. From the caves area, you then move on to a temple. The temple area is the shortest part of the level, and it contains a few traps, a timed run, and some puzzles, and also the only secret of the level, which is found by shooting pots, which are just lying around on the floor. Once you've worked your way through some more caves, you finally get to the Coliseum area. Personally, I think the Coliseum area is the nicest part of the whole game, and it's filled with shooting puzzles, torch puzzles, and even a time run, which is both clever and really fun to do. So now let's look at the gameplay aspect of the level, starting with its puzzles and traps. There's a really nice variation of puzzles and traps throughout the level, which include jumping challenges, shooting puzzles, push-block puzzles, timed runs, spike traps, fire traps, and even a flooding puzzle. While most of these gameplay elements are great, there are just one or two which let it down a bit, and those I'll come to later. So now let's have a look at the enemies. There aren't many enemies in the level, and they mainly consist of crocodiles and gorillas, but the author does a good job of placing them in areas like crawl spaces where they're harder to shoot, and even uses enemies as part of a puzzle later on in the level. So now on to the things that I really liked about the level. Firstly, the music. Music's used really well throughout the level to build a great atmosphere, but I thought it was used especially well in the crocodile fights, where it really made you jump. Obviously, one of the things that I really liked about the level is the way it looks. I think this flyby really shows how well the author has done at making an area that looks really fantastic. It's probably the best Coliseum area I've ever played through, but I think it's also the only Coliseum area that I've ever played through. And so here are my 3 favourite puzzles of the level, starting with the Bubbles puzzle. This is a really subtle puzzle that I also think is just a really clever hint at telling you which lever you should pull. My second favourite puzzle is the push block puzzle. I'm not generally a fan of push block puzzles, but I think that this one was just really well built, and I really enjoyed doing it all the way through. Unfortunately I can't show you the whole thing because it's too long, but here's the last half sped up 5 times. And my favourite puzzle of the game is obviously the Coliseum timed run. I really like the use of Roman numerals telling you what levers to pull, and I really like time runs anyway, so this was just my favourite puzzle. And now the things that I didn't like about the level, starting with the pole challenges. The thing that I didn't like about these pole jumps was that it was really difficult without doing an awkward jump to grab the poles, which just really annoyed me. The other thing I didn't really like about the level was the fire trap puzzle. This wasn't really a bad puzzle, but when you see fire shooting out of the wall, you kind of expect it to be difficult, and this was just a bit too easy for my taste, and I thought it probably should have been a bit more of a challenge for the player. The last thing I didn't like about the level was the poison darts. I don't actually have a clip of this because I did it quite well on the second time round, but on the first time, every time I got hit by one dart I had to use a medipack, and this wasn't really very fun. There's only one thing that I really didn't like about the level, and that is this jump. This jump was surely created by the devil for the sole purpose of annoying the players. It's so difficult when it shouldn't be, and I don't understand why. I took like 5 minutes first try and 2 minutes the second try. I don't understand why it was difficult, and that was what I thought the worst thing in the level was. And so overall, it took me about half an hour with one secret, and I actually really enjoyed it, obviously except for that jump, but taking everything into account, I thought this was actually a really fun level, and I would recommend that you play it. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review.